Welcome to Positive Talk Radio. Our goal is simple: to explore evolving ideas one conversation at a time. So, stay with us as right now we present. And welcome to the show, everybody. I'm so pleased that you're here because we've got a wonderful guest for you for the entire hour. And we're going to be talking about some really cool concepts and some really important things. If you are interested in a little bit more operation from your heart than your head, this be the show for you. So I hope that you'll stay with us for the entire hour. And we've got one half of, and I would like to say the better half is not here today. And I know that you would agree with me that your lovely wife is working somewhere today, and so you're going to be with us for the entire hour. Cris Agafi, how are you today, sir?
Thank you so much, Kevin. Yes, I'm very well. And yes, my better half is a full-time cardiologist. And right now she is saving lives in the hospital. So yes,
She
my
does.
better half.
And I hope to never meet her professionally, by the way.
A lot of people hope that. Yes, she's a lovely person outside the hospital, and in the hospital, with the hat of the cardiologist, she is phenomenal as well.
I gotta ask you, because she's obviously a doctor and she's a cardiologist, but she also has been working with Eastern medicine and with spirituality in a bunch of different ways. How does that work in the hospital setting when she is so much more than Western medicine?
Yeah, well, I think she would explain it a lot better than I could, but it's true when I say that she is pretty much one of a kind cardiologist. She is specifically sought after for this specific reason, because she does treat the biological pump, the heart, right? But also tends to go into more Eastern practices as well, and psychology, and dealing with the core wound, and with doing that, healing the spiritual heart. So she does balance both in her practice.
I would have to say that if I had to go to a cardiologist, I would want to go to her, because I think that she operates from a wholly different place than a lot of cardiologists do.
Yes, very true. Very true.
And because she operates from the heart and she's caring about the individual and she really wants to see things go well, which is why you are, and her, I was reading your bios, and you guys came together while you were in this search for a different type of lifestyle, a different type of spirituality. And you how did you actually meet?
Yeah. So we met 20 years ago. We met at a wedding, the typical story where, she cut the bouquet. She said,
she did.
Yes, she did. She said, I will never, go there and catch the bouquet. But then, she elbowed her way to the front of the group and she leaped forward. Literally, this is somewhere on a video, and I should put it in slow motion, because she did leap and she caught the bouquet. And so that's how we met. Yeah, it was a beautiful first love at first sight story. But I would say, like many love stories and couples coming together, we were completely, I would say, unconscious. In the sense that, we had no idea what consciousness was. We had no idea what, living a heart-centered life was. This was somewhere in the, in the dictionary, all these words, but not in our vocabulary, right? So, we went on that path, in that way, just coming from the core wound, from the conditioned self, from the core, the patterns, the conditioned patterns, for about 10 years. And, it worked out. It worked out really well. I would say, like many couples. But then 10 years ago, something happened where our life kind of took a turn and things started shifting. And we were changing. So we were not okay with the way that we were. We were still very much in love, of course. We're still very much in love right now, and our relationship grew, but we changed. And we know people that have hit these walls in their own personal growth, especially if only one of the partners grew, but the other one didn't. And then, unfortunately, they end up in divorce. And we stuck it out somehow. We figured out a way. We figured out a way to stay together and to grow together and to thrive. So we've been kind of doing that for the past 10 years, and really accelerating our growth. And at one point, just looking back, and I mean, of course, we've had a lot of people around us asking us, like, what are you guys doing? What's going on with you guys? And that prompted us to, I think maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, to really stop, and look back at our life and say, what did we do? How did we, manage to get here to where we are, and what are we doing? And let's codify it. Let's put it down on paper. Let's see how can we create a program out of it, if you want, or a lifestyle, and share it. See what happens. So that's yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, that's the story basically in a nutshell.
Well, it's because you hit it right on the head. A lot of times when someone, and I like to put it into terms of like, okay, so why am I really here? And what am I really here to do? And a lot of times one of the marriage partners will be having that conversation with themselves, and the other one says, well, I like the way things are. I'm not really interested in changing and doing any of the things differently. And what's going on with you, and what have you done with my husband, or what have you done with my wife? Because they're changing. And it's remarkable that the two of you were able to do it together. That had to build a stronger bond.
It did absolutely. And I have to say, it was not easy. We hit a lot of walls, and I think even now looking back, I would say that the most challenging thing about growing together was the fact that, just like you said, we got used to to ourselves or to our partner being in a specific way. And so every now and then, when they would change, we would say, but hold on a second, I don't recognize you as being this way. And then I would, this is what I would do with her, with Madalina. So she would start changing. And at one point I'll be like, but hold on a second, this doesn't seem familiar to me. Even though I see some positives, it doesn't seem familiar to me. And so I would almost reflect back to her her old self. And that would stifle her growth. So, and then of course she would do the same to me, right? She would remind me of my old self. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that old self. Oh yeah, that felt comfortable. Let me kind of go back there a little bit, right? But that was the most challenging part, because, as human beings, I mean, as much as we're growing, and we're being intentional, and that's one big piece of our lifestyle, to be intentional. I always say we always swim against the current of decades of conditioning. Right? We've been conditioned throughout our life, since our childhood, to be in a specific way, to think in a specific way, to believe, to have certain beliefs, or certain presuppositions about life that we believe to be true. And we get so comfortable with those. They become part of who we are. They become almost part of our identity. And so when we change, when we start changing and growing, we hit against this current that always wants to, like, no, stay the same, because this is where the comfort is. This is what you used to. So that's been the biggest piece, that's been a challenge.
Did you find that in the course of time that there were friends that you had maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago, that for whatever reason, because I kind of attune it to vibration, that you're vibrating at a higher level. And so a lot of times folks that are vibrating, it becomes uncomfortable for them to do. And unless they understand what's going on, did you find that there were friends of yours that you just kind of fade away?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Yes, absolutely. We've noticed that, and um, there were people that friends of ours that were questioning what we were doing. They were looking at our life, and again, we've been very intentional. So we've been reading tons of books in our life, programs, immersive experiences, all sorts of things, right? To for this purpose, to grow and to expand more into, you know it's funny I say to expand, but it ultimately is to come back to ourselves,
Right.
because through the conditioning we kind of tend to leave ourselves. So it's just about coming back to ourselves. And so because they couldn't understand what we were doing, they kept saying, like, why are you wasting so much time on these programs? Why are you wasting so much money? Why are you reading these types of books instead of these types of books? They couldn't understand. So slowly, they kind of faded away. They just disappeared out of our life. And that, in a way, it was sad, because, we love those friends. But at the same time, what I've come to realize is that that created more space in our life for new people that vibrate at the same frequency as us to come in our life. And then, of course, there are certain friends that they started realizing, like, well, they were asking the same questions. Oh, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? Why are you spending so much time and wasting so much money? But then they started noticing some changes in us, and they got curious, and they asked us, oh, what are you doing? What have you been doing? Give me a list of things. So some of those friends, they started joining us on our journey. And it's kind of funny, because just the other day we went to dinner with these friends, and they told us, after they've been on their own personal spiritual journey for the past 2 years or so, and they confessed to us, so to speak, at dinner. They said, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we used to judge you because we didn't understand you. Why would you spend so much money and time and doing all these things? And now, after they've done some of the things that we have gone through and lived this type of lifestyle, they were looking back and saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe I wasted all those years not doing that." So yeah, definitely, some people just fade away, and some people just tend to gravitate more towards you.
Do you find that since you've been on this walk or this
Mhm.
journey, do you find that over time, you are getting the sense and the bigger sense that this is what you were destined to do all along, and it
Mhm.
just took a particular moment in time to kind of turn it on?
Mm. Mm. That's a great question. Um, how should I put this? I Today, where I am today, having gone through what my journey so far, I would say I cannot imagine living life any way differently.
Yeah.
Um, because to me, see, it's not about, and it's not about, okay, we've been conditioned to look at life from the point of view of or through this lens of right and wrong, good or bad, and to me that's so disempowering. What's more empowering is to ask the question, like, is this empowering or is this inspiring? So to live life the way that my wife and I we live right now, which is an intentional, heart-centered way of living, to us is so empowering, because we have a philosophy, if you want, right? A way of looking at life and a way of interacting life from the place of the heart, that it is so empowering and inspiring. And I cannot even imagine living life any other way. And I'm not saying that this is the way, the best way, or anything like that. But we've tried different ways of living, conditioned ways, and ways that um, we were told this is the right way to live life, and it wasn't. And this is a lot more empowering to us.
Well, it's gotta come from you. It's gotta come from the inside because
Yeah.
that's where it all resides. And in fact, you guys started a business and started working with people and coaching people.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you're interested in finding out more about what they're doing, you can go to heartq.com or www.heartq.com and you can find out all about them, and there's some great pictures there and what they offer, and the coaching that they do, and it really is important that you. So let me ask you this, because I know you were on a spiritual walk. See, I had the same thing happen to me. It was a
Hmm.
couple of friends of mine got together, and I was lamenting the fact that it's like, this can't be it. I
Hmm.
was talking with my um, a couple of relatives that were very religious, and they were talking about the end of life and life after death and stuff. And I said, well,
Hmm.
that can't be just it. There has to
Hmm.
be more to it. There's got to be a reason why we're
Hmm.
doing it. And in their minds it was, no, you're gonna go and you're gonna die and you're gonna sit on a cloud and you're gonna worship God. Well, it's not enough. And so we were sitting there talking with a couple of friends, and they looked at each other and they said, we've been having the same conversation. And so that led to moving into a different direction, just like you guys are. But at what point, because there was a point in time, a clear decision that you guys made, where you said, okay, we now need to give back, and we
Hmm.
need to help other people achieve what we are doing. Do you remember that conversation, or what the circumstances were around that?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, we do. And before I share that, I want to share something that you mentioned earlier that reminded me of a quote or something that someone said, which was to me was so powerful. You mentioned that your friends or relatives were saying that you live and then you die and then you go and on a cloud and worship God. All right, so you live and you die.
Yeah.
This quote that to me was so powerful and so inspiring because it applies not just to life in general, but also to points in life, stages in life, right? So the quote goes, I guess a wise person is speaking to someone else and saying, to you, um, life begins and life ends. To me, life appears and then disappears.
Ah.
That to me is so powerful because it implies a continuity. And then at one point, so you exist and then life appears, you go through life, you have the experience of life, and then it disappears, but you continue. And it's the same thing with stages of life or events in life, where something happens and we are not prepared, so to speak, to deal with those things. And we are so wrapped up in them that they suck us in and they become our entire life. However, I found that if I look at those things as, I am living a full life, and then this event appears and then it disappears, then I continue to live a full life. To me, that is a lot more empowering. And so to us, this moment of feeling like, okay, it's time to give back, appeared at one point in our life, right? And again, it was about I want to say about 4 years ago, where we were asked by people around us, like, what are you guys doing? Obviously you're very different. You are starting to manifest things in your life that we couldn't believe it was possible. And so they were questioning that. So we decided to look back and say, okay, what have we been doing? How are we living our life? And let's put it on paper. And so about 4 years ago, we decided to create this what we call now heart Q, heart intelligence, right? Because again, we talk about IQ, intellectual intelligence. We talk about EQ, emotional intelligence, and then heart Q, heart intelligence, right? And what we've noticed is that the common denominator was this living from the heart, this inherent connection to our heart, always coming back to our heart. What we call heart resilience. And I differentiate between resilience, just on its own resilience, and heart resilience. Resilience, I would say, is this powerful human trait of, when you fall down, you get up and you go again. And then you fall down again, you get up and you go back out again, right? It's a very powerful trait of our humanity. But that also has this inherent, I would say, bulldozer approach, meaning like, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to dust off, and I'm going to keep going no matter what. Great. It's amazing. It works in most situations. However, we go forward with the same consciousness that got us there in the same place. So we're bound to repeat the same mistakes. Yeah, of course we learn, but we tend to repeat the same mistakes over and over. So what we say is to practice heart resilience. And that is when we fall down, we rise and then we come back to ourselves. We come back to ourselves and check in with ourselves. Like, okay, who am I that have created this situation? How can I change so that I don't repeat the situation, but I create something more amazing, more beautiful,
Hmm.
So, yeah.
I think that's beautiful. I was thinking while you were talking about the heart and stuff. Did it ever, like dawn on you guys that you're about heart intelligence and your wife's a cardiologist? Did you guys ever make that connection?
Yes, it dawned on us afterwards. To be honest, we never intended it that way, but it just, and to be honest, it's very interesting, and I'm gonna kind of like let you in on a little conversation that my wife and I have about HeartQ in general, about this journey and this thing that we are, that this journey all that we are giving back to people. So HeartQ is not just something that we have created based on our life experience, and now we're putting it out there and say, here, do this thing as well, because it worked for us, it's going to work for you. Yes, that, but not just that. HeartQ, what we've realized is that it's this live thing. It has a life of its own, and us intentionally creating and living the HeartQ lifestyle always invites, and I don't want to say pushes us, but always invites us to step up and to live even more fully from our heart. We have this belief. It's one of our core principles that whatever we share or with our community or whatever we teach, we must embody it, or we must have done it at some point in our life, and it worked for that stage. So we never teach just theory. We always teach what we embody, right? So this, we always want to, share the most powerful thing, and that invites us to always step up and always live life from the heart.
Do you find that while you're doing that
Mhm.
when you're thinking about what you should put in your course or what you could put in your course
Mhm.
and talk to people and stuff, do you find that experiences tend to show up that give you more experience and more resilience and more learning about a particular thing that you would like to talk about? Because I would guess, this is just me, but I'm guessing that if you were to say we would like to incorporate this, but we don't know enough about it to really, that experience will show up for you, so that
Mhm.
suddenly it's there, and so you can deal with it or talk about it and
Yeah.
incorporate that into your program, because you're right, it's an evolving thing. It's not
Mhm.
just something on paper. What you're doing is evolving all the time, I would guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's very much a live entity of its own. It has its own life. So I will say this: what we teach is based on a spectrum of science and spirituality. That's why we always say that we bridge science and spirituality, right? So everything from
Mhm.
science, psychology, and spirituality, right? And so there is the science part, which is based on hardcore research, and then there is the psychology part, that's based on core wound trauma and things like that. And then there's also the spiritual part, which is, again, like you shared earlier, has to do with a lot with vibration, right? And connecting with yourself and with your heart in order to create those vibrations to attract those life experiences that not just help you grow, but, you know, life is being created at the intersection of me, who I am now, and whatever life offers me in that moment. That's
Mhm.
where the spark happens. So yes, we are always open to that. And, you know, we do use our, we do use meditations, for example, that are very heart-centered in order to manifest or to create those vibrations to attract in our life whatever we do want. And they do happen, you know. I mean, once we've been on this path, I cannot tell you, we live in a constant stream of synchronicities. This is the best way I can put it. It's a constant stream of synchronicities. So
I
yes,
it's all coincidence, isn't it? It's
yes,
none of
of
it
course,
has a purpose or a reason. It's just all coincidence, which is really not the case at all.
not at all. No, no. It's everything if we think in terms of vibration, you will attract what you are always. So that's why when we say, okay, we want to attract a certain experience in our life, or maybe a certain person in our life, a guide, or anything like that, then we ask ourselves, what do we want to create? Like, how do I have to change in order to attract that kind of life? Here's the thing: we are all guided by unconsciously by questions. We continuously ask ourselves questions, and then our brain is, and it's an amazing machine, right? Biological machine, starts looking for answers and starts looking, strategizing and about how to manifest that, how to get to your goal, and all these things. Okay.
Yep.
And so, when we say that we want to create something, some time ago, my wife wanted to create to take some time off and to create what do you call it, a sabbatical. And in her world, they don't exist. They just simply don't exist in the medical world. And so um, she started changing herself to say things like, I am worthy. How can I create this in my life? And it is amazing, after we started that, how things just coincidentally worked, where all the right things lined up. And yes, it manifested.
I found that in my own life with the things that have happened, and then I could go chapter and verse going back,
Mm,
40 years of directions in my life that have changed and whatever, and including the fact that it was a surprise that at the very same moment that my job with a major food company as a district manager, they sold to
mhm,
somebody else and was going to move the branch away, and so I didn't want to work there anymore. At the same moment, KKNW, the radio station, flipped their format from a news format to a programming format that I could attach myself to. And it
mhm,
was like, I called them, and the gal said, well, it's pretty amazing that you're calling because we're just about ready to flip the format. Hadn't been announced yet.
mhm.
But, and so, and that continues. It
Yeah.
continues all the time. I believe firmly that me talking to you today was preordained, and it was an important thing for both of us to do for other people who will benefit from the message that you and I are talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to add one more piece there, because I feel like it's very important. And this is just a way that we live our life, and it's been absolutely amazing for us. So, a lot of times we want to create something, we want to manifest something, we want to attract something. It's a goal that we create for ourselves. I always caution my clients, because we create those goals from our mind, and our minds are limited. Our minds can only project forward what we have already experienced. So what we believe is possible for us is based on what has been possible so far for us in the past. So inherently, what the goal is limited by our mind. So every time we set a goal for ourselves, we always say, oh gosh, I want that, or more, or better. Okay. So that's one way to kind of, I guess I would say, to interact with the universe and interact with life. Another way that we practice is to completely open yourself up and say, I am completely open, and I receive anything that comes towards me. Okay. Now, for that to, because a lot of times people will be like, but oh my gosh, how can I do that? Like, what if I cannot handle that? Well, there are two components, two belief systems that you need to have in order to live life on purpose, connected to your heart, in this surrender. One, it's imperative that you have an inherent trust in the universe, that you believe that whatever life gives you is for you, that somehow it will benefit you. You don't know yet how, but you remain curious to find out how that will be. So that's number one. Number two, you must build this trust in yourself that whatever it comes, no matter how scary it is, no matter how hard or challenging, or in the unknown realm it is, because it's the unknown that scares us, right? Tony Robbins says, we all love surprises, but we only love the surprises that we want, not the ones that we don't want. Right?
That's so true.
It's so true, right? So to have this trust in yourself that whatever life gives you, you can handle it. So if you believe that whatever life gives you is for you, and if you believe that whatever life gives you, you can handle it, you open yourself up and magic happens. We've done this in our life so many times. Even us being here today, it was through a stream of synchronicities that brought us here today. And yeah.
No, keep going, brother. You're doing great.
Yeah, no, it's just a way for us. It's always, again, doing it from the place of the heart. Okay. And when I say that, I'm always asked, well, what about the mind? What's wrong with the mind? Why not the mind? Or, why not the spleen, or whatever, So the heart is even scientifically proven that it has its own energetic center, right? It has its own magnetic field, and it even has 40,000 neurons, just like the brain has neurons. And so, heart math has done tons of research for decades on this, right? So there are actually more information going from the heart to your brain than from the brain to your heart. So the best way that we found to live life is to live life in this, what heart math calls coherence, heart-brain coherence. And that is that where we open ourselves up to life, but from the place of the heart, with non-judgment, with complete trust, and we allow the heart to dream. We always say the mind thinks and the heart dreams. So we allow the heart to dream, and we teach ourselves to listen, because we have forgotten. Our heart speaks to us all the time. It's just that we have been in our minds for such a long time, for decades, with the inner chatter, that we have forgotten how to listen to our heart. But if we pay attention, the heart always whispers. It's always there and always whispers. And if you do practice this the Heart Q lifestyle that we teach, you learn to open yourself up to the heart and to hear your messages. And then you connect with your mind and say, okay, mind, look what I got. It's a jewel. Let's go create something. Okay. Again, always with this open awareness of what else is going to show up. If I would say to anyone that is still has fear of the things that life is giving them, or anxiety, or any such emotions or feelings, I would say approach everything with curiosity. That childlike curiosity where you are, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be amazing. Right? I wonder how this is going to be for me. I wonder what life is going to show me. I wonder how I'm going to become better. Right? And this is another huge piece. It's not just about, desiring something and getting it. Yes, that's amazing. That's great. you anticipate something that you want to create in your life, or to manifest, or to achieve, whatever that may be the case for you. And then you tell yourself, I'm going to be so happy, oh my God, when I achieve that thing. And then of course, you achieve it. And then what? Maybe an hour, a day, maybe a week or a month, right, goes by, and then it all goes away, all that happiness, because now you're going on to the next thing, right? But
Exactly.
happiness is found in that journey towards your goal. So we always say, don't focus so much on the goal. Yes, look towards it, go there, but focus more, keep your focus on yourself. And who are you going to become at the end of this journey of achieving your goal? When you achieve your goal, don't celebrate, yes, I have achieved my goal. Well, of course, do that. but the bigger celebration is, let me see, who have I become on this path, on this journey. That is the powerful thing.
Do you find that there are people who just can't get, for lack of a better term, their brain around the
Mhm.
fact that they can operate from a different place? That it's not a matter of, because the brain, at least mine does, it argues with me.
Mhm.
I it's like, I can do this. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. But it argues back and forth. Do
Yeah.
you find that there are some that, but when I see, you've got me all discombobulated. So if I, so let me, when I'm operating from my heart space,
Yes.
then life becomes a terrific, wonderful, exciting adventure, because I
Mhm.
never know what's going to happen next, but it's always going to be for my best benefit,
Yes.
whatever that happens to be.
Mhm.
So it's if we're operating from your head, you
Mhm.
don't get that benefit. Is that right?
Yes, it's very true. And the reason is this, and it has to do with our conditioning. Our conditioning as a human being in this life, from when you were born. And it also has to do with generational conditioning, evolutionary conditioning of us as a human species. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let's go back thousands of years ago, when you had to deal with the saber tooth, and you lived in small communities, and so the safety component was not there, right? You were you were surrounded by threats everywhere you went, right?
Yep.
So before I even say that, okay, well, actually, no. Okay. So it was safer for you if you were walking down a path and you saw a rustling bush. It was safer for you to assume that that's going to be some kind of a dangerous animal, and move away, or just go somewhere else, go around it, than to assume that it's just I don't know, a cute squirrel, and then get eaten, right?
Right.
So by that definition, we are literally the descendants of all the people who assumed the worst, because the other ones that didn't got eaten,
They're dead.
right? They're dead.
They were
So
they were lunch.
yes, so we are the descendants of all the people that assumed the worst. So now fast forward over thousands of years of this type of conditioning, and also from the environment, but also passed on from parent to child. Okay, we have learned to ask ourselves this. We have been conditioned to ask ourselves this two primary questions that we continuously ask ourselves in every situation and unconsciously. We don't even. It's so buried so deep that we don't even hear ourselves asking this question. Those two questions are this: Am I safe? And do I belong? Now,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
connected, because the do I belong has to do with the safety one. So the very core question is, am I safe? In every situation, we ask ourselves, am I safe? Maybe you're having a conflict with your spouse, or it's a feeling of unsafety, and you always ask yourself, am I safe? And so you put on your armor, your spear, whatever you use in your conflict with your partner, and that's how you interact with them, right? Now, do I belong? That's the very next question that also has to do with safety, because from time immemorial, if you did not belong to a social group, you're out on your own and you're
And
not safe.
you're not going to live,
You're
right?
not going to live. Exactly. So now, if and then this in this context also comes that question that we've also been conditioned to ask ourselves: am I right, or am I wrong? Is this good or is this bad? And how does this play into the belonging question? Well, if you are in a social group and you are right many times, then you're going to be elevated in that group. You're going to become maybe even a leader of the group. However, if you are wrong many times, if you say there's going to be fish in this part of the water, or lunch, dinner, whatever, right, and then you're wrong, it isn't, and you've been wrong many, many times, your social group is going to be like, well, we don't, you're not benefiting us anymore. We don't want you in the group, and they're going to exclude you. Fast forward to today. This is still happening today. For example, the corporate world, right? If you are right many times repeatedly in your job, you're going to climb up the corporate ladder. You're going to become a manager, you're going to become a director, and so on. However, if you're wrong many times and you make many mistakes, so to speak, right, you're going to be eventually fired. So this feeling, this need to belong has to do with our safety. Okay.
Right.
And I lost a train of thought because you did ask a question, and I was going there, but I forgot the question that you were asking.
No, that's all right, because so that means then,
Mhm.
but when we talk about belonging, we
Yes.
can actually raise the numbers of people that we belong to then include all of humanity, and then include all of the universe,
Mm-hmm.
because that can be part of our tribe, and that changes everything, doesn't it?
It does change everything, and I also remember the question now.
Okay, good.
But yes, it does change. I would say that it changes at a conceptual level, because at the end of the day, you still have to physically interact with people. And if, let's say, two or more people interact from a place of conditioned patterns without the conscious awareness of themselves, conflicts tend to happen. And yes, it's true that we do belong conceptually to this larger community, and it does, just knowing that makes us feel good. But I would also say that when you go out in the 3D world, so to speak, and you interact with people, if we do not elevate the consciousness of humanity and bring people into more awareness of themselves, then we're going to continue to interact from that same consciousness that create conflict in the first place. And that's why and I'm coming back now to your initial question about living life from the mind versus from the heart, because you have the chatter in your mind. So again, we have these questions in our mind, and we keep asking ourselves all the time. These are the basic ones. On top of those, am I safe and do I belong? On top of those questions, we ask ourselves questions all the time about, am I worthy? Can I do this? Am I skilled enough? Am I beautiful enough? Whatever. All these questions that we ask ourselves, right? And all of them because we want to feel safe and we want to belong. Now, if we've spent all our life at this level in our mind, asking ourselves all the time, question, and then trying to find the answer, and we tend to, like you said, we have a conversation with ourselves before we even have a conversation with other people, and we convince ourselves of whatever is true, quote unquote, even before we even get to experience what we can create, right? Our limiting beliefs is our truth, and that limits us from going out there and creating something different for ourselves. So that's why we say that in order to live life from the heart, you do have to intentionally and consciously drop into your heart. And that what that means is quiet down the mind. There are different ways to just quiet down the mind and start asking different questions. Start asking empowering questions. For example, um, I'm, let's say, I'm about to go on this podcast, okay? And I could choose to ask myself, or I could, if I let my mind, the fear and all of that, ask myself, I could say, oh gosh, I remember this one time I messed up on that other podcast or whatever, that other experience. What if I do this again? So if I ask that question, my brain will be like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you did that in the past, you're probably gonna do it again, right? And how am I going to show up? What is my energy going to be like when I show up here? However, if I show up saying, okay, I don't know, whatever happened in the past happened in the past, that does not define me right now, and I ask myself, what can I create in the present moment with Kevin? Or, what am I going to learn in this conversation about myself? How am I going to become better at the end of this conversation, in some way? What wisdom can I allow to pass through me that will surprise even myself, right? So if I ask these questions, then I'm going to be in a very different energy, and I'm going to show up a lot more open, trusting myself and trusting the universe.
You said maybe, perhaps, my most favorite word in the entire dictionary,
Mm-hmm.
and that is trust.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn to trust yourself. You have to learn to trust the system. And that doesn't mean, like we were talking about, the law of attraction, or
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're going to say, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow. And if you're not a millionaire tomorrow, then it's failed. You don't know
Yeah.
the timing of when, but you can put stuff into action. And
Yeah.
then I got something that happened 20 years ago that came back positively to affect me today, 20 years later.
Hmm.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really love what you say. You make it very easy for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get your website out there again. If you want to go to their website, which is heartq.com. I love it. It's very easy, and even I can do that. That's pretty simple.
You have to
Um,
make it easy. Yes.
but they've got a 21-day program. Before we go, talk a little bit about the 21-day
Mm.
program that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. 21-day program is called Unleash Your Heart. And it's actually a very powerful program that we've kind of condensed, the most essential parts of our 10-year experience into these 21 days, and we only focused on those things that will move the needle the most for people. Because again, we can talk for hours and hours, and I can share with you philosophy, but these will be those things that will move the needle the most. So the program itself is constructed in bite-sized content so that people can digest it easily. You only need maybe between 10 to 30 minutes per day, depending on how much do you want to devote to yourself. Okay. And it's kind of split in three parts. The first part is the basically the uncovering, where we go into uncovering who you've been conditioned to be, but actually you're not. So we start removing all these masks that you have, that have kept you safe for all this time. And we do it in a very safe container, very compassionate container, right? We don't just remove them and then we leave you with nothing, okay? Completely naked, no. So it's done in a very thoughtful and heartful way. So again, number one is we uncover who you are not, who you've been conditioned to be, but you're not. Second part, the second week, basically, now that we know who you're not, let's discover who you are. So let's connect with your heart. Let's connect with your passion. Let's connect with your core values. Let's create them if you don't have them, right? If you always have core values, you're just not aware of them. That's what drives you anyway, right? So let's bring everything into the light. Let's shine the light of awareness on you, that authentic version of you, that highest version of you, right? So we do this in a very, very heartful way, very uplifting way. And then third one is okay. Now you know who you're not, and now you've discovered who you are. Great. Now what? Well, now let's create. What do you want to create? right? So we go through an entire week of envisioning and starting putting the building blocks to creating the life that your heart really dreams of. You know, that whisper that keeps coming up every now and then and says, "Ah, I want this for you. I want this for you. You deserve this." You know, we start creating that, and in that, you know, we and it's very action based. It's not just this ideas and all of that. No, no, it's very action based. We work on action steps. We work on habits. We work on even reasons. We tend to always make all these grand plans and action steps, and you know, put everything in the calendar. But then we have reasons, so we work with those as well. You know, so it's a very comprehensive program that will really kind of, you know, bring you back, as we say, bring you back to yourself, so that you can actually live a heart-centered life, an authentic life on purpose.
I really like that. And you guys have worked it out so that you forget who you're not, then you discover who you are, and then
Mhm.
how, now that you've changed, how you gonna make that work for the rest of your life and
Yeah.
to continue that path. I wanted to ask you, for there are people that are going hearts and thing and what energy, and
Mhm.
is your heart your soul?
Mm. That's beautiful. So when we talk about heart, it depends on who you ask, because we've talked about heart Q and we brought this to cardiologists, right? And so for them, it was very much like, what do you talk about the heart? What heart? The heart is here. There's like this pump, this thing here, right? And so, yes, there is the biological heart. Then there is the feeling heart, the energetic heart, the spiritual heart, right? We all have these hearts. They're all present in us. And I found that the answer to that question is, and you may or may not like this answer. I put this up front, is whatever you feel is most empowering and inspiring for you. Because if you believe, if you feel that my heart is my soul, and that drives you to live life in an authentic way from this place of the heart, amazing, beautiful. If you believe that the soul is something separate than your heart, than your, you know, human experience, and your heart is a way for you to connect with your soul, to this, you know, higher version of yourself, or whatever you know, your soul, then let that be your driving force in life. You know, it's, again, we always say this thing, and there is no one way to view life. There is no one way to get to your heart. And we kind of chuckle when we have these people, or, you know, say, this is the way, this is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the steps, this is how you get there. No, there's so many ways. There are individual ways, and we're so different. And we embrace this differences, and you know, this magic that we all are. We're all
I
unique.
I agree with you 100%. And the thing is, the day of the guru is gone, in my opinion. We should not, as an individual, you
Mhm,
need to follow your heart,
mhm.
what's inside of you and how you feel about something, not what somebody else is telling you how to feel.
Yes, yes. And that is such an important message that you just share right now, because a lot of times we tend to, again, you know, this, we've been conditioned this way. We tend to think our way through life. How would it be to feel our way through life? Again, the mind thinks, the heart feels, and to allow yourself to feel, but I would say without a story. Okay, so feel whatever comes up, whatever experience you're having, feel the feeling, but you know, without the story of, oh, this is why I'm feeling this way, and this is whatever story you're creating in your mind, and just let the feeling permeate your body, your being, and then ask yourself, okay, this experience that created this feeling inside of me, or this person that created this feeling inside of me, um, is this expansive to me, or is it constrictive? And which way do I want to live life? Personally, I would say expansive, right? I always want to expand, and I always want to you know, my question is always, how can I expand the person I'm talking to, right? Even with my wife, is you know, is masculine energy, female energy. I'm always asking myself, like, what can I do? How can I expand her more, into her feminine energy, right? So it's all about expansion and back into ourselves.
I got to tell you, we've been talking with Cris Agafi, and I got to tell you, young man, you are truly gifted at what you do, and
Thank you.
I'm really excited about having you in the studio a couple of weeks from now on a Monday.
Yes,
And
together with my wife, with the whole.
the good doc will be there, and
Yes.
we're gonna have just a wonderful time. And as a matter of fact, I have to go to get ready for my next show. But before we do that,
Mhm,
first of all, go to heartq.com.
mhm,
Secondly, I would like you to take a moment to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know, anything that's on your heart that you would like them to know, the ones that are listening now and the
mhm,
ones that will listen to this far, far, far into the future.
mhm. Thank you for that opportunity, Kevin. I would say this: in everything that we want to create, there's a part of us that believes is possible. And at the same time, there's a part of us that believes it's not possible for us. So until you believe that whatever you desire in your life is possible for you, it'll be an uphill battle. So always ask yourself, who do I have to become in order to create the life that I want to create? And when you ask that question, quiet the mind and just listen to your heart. It will come as a whisper. It will be soft in the beginning, but when it does come, it will be clear. And trust it. Trust that answer. Trust yourself, and trust that life is here for you. This is a playground. Go forward with curiosity, that childlike curiosity. What is around the next corner? What am I going to discover? And yeah.
And I'm very excited about the next corner
Me
and
too.
what's coming around. It's life is. I used to think life was hard, but life is fun. And
Nice.
it's it really is. It's a good time that we're having here. So, by the
Yes.
way, Cris, thank you so much. Go to heartq.com. If you'll wait right there, I got to do this, and I'll be right back. Hey, thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of positivetalkradio.net. Please visit our website, oddly named positivetalkradio.net, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to one another.